Okay, they start at the welcome right here, and then we walk down. We have it flagged out, of course, yellow flags, because this was the yellow brick road. The theme of girls camp was wicked, changed for good, and the overall youth theme was walk with me. And so that's why we have a walk, and of course, yellow brick road, just such like the cutest theme. Okay, we started off strong with this picture right here. It's one of my very favorites. Throughout the walk, we did have speakers and music playing at every station. So imagine there's music here, but this I think was probably my favorite setup. It's so simple, but like just the cutest setup right here. This was our first speaker station, and we had a mother-daughter here, and they talked about young motherhood, the struggles, miscarriage, divorce when you have a young family, and rebuilding. And it was really powerful. Throughout this walk, we didn't want this walk to be like a fairy tale, because life is not a fairy tale. We wanted it to feel very real, and we wanted these girls to know, like, even through like some really hard life struggles, that you can still choose to walk with Christ and that life is still so good. We're coming up on the blindfold rope walk. So this station was representative of holding on, like in our religion we call it holding on to the iron rod, basically holding on to Christ, holding on to the gospel, however you want to word it. So we blindfolded all of the girls right as they got here, and so they stood here blindfolded, and one by one a leader put one hand on, this was a really emotional area, put one hand on the rope, and then you just send them off. And a little ways in, we had some other helpers who walked around and tempted them, and they would say things like, hey, this is the last tree, you're actually done, well done. And the girls were waiting to hear the phrase, well done, thou good and faithful servant. And my husband particularly, he was great at getting girls to let go, because he would say, well done, you're all finished. And they would let go, and they would lift up their blindfold and put it back on, because they realize, oh, I'm not actually done. And then he would kind of pull them away, and they would just stand in an open area for a minute, very vulnerable. And then another leader or another girl, a counselor, would come and put their hand back on the rope for them, just to symbolize that even when you make mistakes and you let go, whatever, that you can always get back on the rope, and you can still make it to the end, and you hear the phrase, well done, thou good and faithful servant. And I had the job one of the days. We had one really big group that went through, and so I stood over here and I would move one girl from the back to kind of a waiting place, and then the leader in charge of this station, she would grab them and put them on the rope. And so I would tell them, like, hey, we're going to walk forward, and I would put my hand on their back and one hand on their arm, because I just felt so bad. Like, they'd been blindfolded, like it took a while, so some of them had been blindfolded for like 10 minutes. And so I would just kind of hold on to them and walk them to this point, and then it was so hard to like let them go and watch them like leave her hands and just walk forward alone. It was so symbolically difficult to watch them walk away. But this was obviously a very impactful area, which I wasn't really expecting that, but I think this was a lot of girls' favorites. And there was also funny stories too. Lots of people accidentally hit their head on different branches and things, and a lot of them were so mad at themselves for letting go. And another phrase that was said a lot, that actually got a lot of the leaders, like adult men and women, to let go, was one of the tempters. She figured it out. She would tell them, hey, I'm gonna actually lead you around this rock so you don't trip. And they're like, oh, okay, yeah, like, I'm old, I'm clumsy. And she would lead them off, and then they would just stand there, and they were like, oh, shoot, she tricked me. And I don't know, this whole section was incredibly powerful. I can't remember how many feet of rope they used, but I just want to show you what this looked like. after the blindfold, they have this picture, and then just a short walk right up here to this section. And this section was kind of a bear to get put together. We collected a letter for every single girl who registered for camp, and we asked their young women's leaders to reach out to somebody important to these girls, a parent, a grandparent, and just to write them a letter to share about walking with Christ through life. So the girls had a few minutes to just sit here and read. I purposely Trent went through most of the walk with Quinn's group, and then I chose to walk most of it with Sophie's group. And I wanted to be here for the letter because just knowing my daughter, I knew that she was going to need I wrote the letters, so I knew she was going to need a hug from me, and it was a very, very special experience. There was a lot of moms here to girls, but I wish that everybody who had written the letter could have been here to hug their girl after they read it. This next section, I was actually really proud of us for thinking to do this. We had a snack break for the girls because at this point, they're like just about halfway. And so we had a snack station here, and then unfortunately I did take down some of these picture frames already, but I had all of the main leaders, like the camp committee. I asked them to each send me a picture of a time in their lives where they walked with Christ, and I wanted this to look kind of like a living room, and so I framed their pictures. I framed some pictures that I got on Etsy of different girls with Christ and a temple and things like that, and I had them kind of a gallery wall style on this palette wall. And right here, so imagine all of the pictures were up here. This was like their little living room setup. There was a discussion here. So before camp, we had asked all of the young women wards and young women leaders of the different wards to ask the girls to write down what makes it difficult to walk with Christ in this life. And I actually had my hands on all of their responses, and oh gosh, just so heavy. Their responses are just this age group. So the girls here are 11 to 18 or so, and it's just a really heavy time where you just feel so worthless. You're still figuring out who you are. You're trying to find friends who encourage you to be a good person. You feel so busy, and you're busy with good things. But those things seem to, and at that time in your life, those things seem to be more important than Christ. And I think you don't really realize how trivial they are in comparison to your relationship with Christ until you're older. And so this was a really cool time where the girls got to speak up and share with each other. And what was really cool, this picture right here, we did not talk about this picture with it was a husband and wife who did this station. We did not talk about this at all with them before, but they loved this picture. And actually, so this is Peter walking on water. He's leaving the boat, walking towards Christ. And I completely forgot, but she's the Stake Young Women's president. And so at some point during the year, she comes to all of the young women classes and she shares. And I completely forgot that she shared that story. And so when they got to that station, they were like, oh my gosh, this is like one of our favorite stories, like to share. And so it was just one more little testimony builder to me how blessed this walk was, that things happened for a reason. I haven't even told you about I don't want to say they were negative things because they led us to this specific walk, but challenges that led us right here. But then to have like things like that happen where it was just so meant to be, it was just amazing. This was our Gethsemane tent. So we wanted just a little visual of Gethsemane for them. You guys saw me building that rock. So this part of the walk after Gethsemane did kind of get a little heavy, honestly. I'll show you why in just a second. So we come up on his crucifixion pictures. We had 3 of them. So there's this one. I'm coming up on the sandbag station. So the sign I'm going to show you, all of those responses that I got from the girls where they shared what makes it hard to walk with Christ. Compiled a list, and one of the girls made us this chalkboard, and we needed a way to label sandbags. And the sandbags are basically our burdens that we carry through life. All of the girls were encouraged to pick up one or two of the bags and think about how heavy it is to carry these things. And then we had mapped out a course that they carried these sandbags up and over and ended up back here. As they finished the course, we had them set their sandbags down, lay their burdens right here at this picture. From there, they were given, and the symbolism was really great, they were given an individual brick. It wasn't a brick, it was really light because it was on wood. And our friend did such a good job explaining to them how they set their sandbags down and Christ makes our burdens light. And he passed out these little bricks. And when you looked at the bricks, it didn't really look like much because each one was a piece of the mural that we created. And I'll show you that too. And so they were handed these very, very lightweight little bricks and just told that Christ makes our burdens light. And now we're almost to the end of the walk. So they go here and up to our final speaker. This picture was a favorite of a lot of the people who walked by it. This station was very special to me. So this is where we had our final speaker. Back in October, when we were asked to do this, to plan this walk, I knew immediately that I wanted to ask my sister to come and be a speaker for these girls because my sister and her family, they lost their son, daughter-in-law, and grandbaby in a car accident. And watching them continue to walk with Christ through that experience, I knew that that was something that she could share so beautifully. And so she was able to come and do that. So my sister was here and she shared just the coolest experiences about gaining her testimony of Christ and this gospel at her own youth camp when she was 15, and then how that carried her through some of the hardest times, including losing her mom and losing, her son and granddaughter and daughter-in-law. And she wrapped it all up with just the most beautiful testimony that this was really, really a hard area to, I think I listened to her do it 4 times and she did it 12 times. I'm so proud of her. But she shared a story at the end, how she had gone to the Easter pageant. If you don't know what the Easter pageant is, it's something that our church puts on in Mesa, Arizona every Easter season. I've actually never been. I grew up in Mesa. I've lived in Arizona most of my whole life. Never been. But I guess there's a scene where this little girl dies and her dad runs and finds Jesus and asks him to perform a miracle to save her. And he does. He brings her back to life, and this little girl is dancing and all the children are there dancing. The dad is holding her up and they're swinging her around. It's just really this happy, joyous moment. And she shares that, my sister shared that when she saw it the first time, she was just like, this actually makes me kind of sad because there wasn't a miracle performed for me. Yeah, how come my granddaughter didn't get brought back to life? And so she said she sat there really sad. And then as she sat through it and thought more about it, she thought, well, that is going to be my experience, just not now. And so I have to be patient. And I just have to know that in the next life, that will be my experience. And this life will feel like a blur. I just have to be patient. And I have to stay strong in my knowledge that there is life after death. And it was just the most beautiful, beautiful time. Like, she just shared it so amazing. And I know for sure that she was meant to be here. She felt the same way. She was meant to be here this week to share that with over 200 people. And so grateful for her for doing that. All right, we are almost done with our walk. From there, we walked to the empty tomb tent. Oh man, creating this tent came with challenges, but turned out amazing. And on this walk, there were actually only 2 of the picture, actually 3. I really wanted the angels blowing the trumpets to be one of the first pictures at the very beginning at the nativity. That's obviously makes sense. And then in the tomb, I'll show you how it worked. I really wanted this one specific picture to be placed exactly where it was. And I think that it was impactful. It turned out so great. And then there's one more picture I'll show you at the very end. So we entered the tomb here, and it's kind of a wraparound style, which I loved. We have our empty tomb with the stone rolled away. And then as you turn around and you walk out, this is the picture that you see. And I wanted this to be right here. I love this picture. I think it is so beautiful. And I love that you walk out, you turn around, you see this picture as you walk out of this tent. This last picture I also wanted to be very strategic in how it was placed. And it was really big. This picture it's 4 by 6 feet. And so it was kind of hard to like make it strategic so not everybody could see it. But I think it turned out really good. After you leave the empty tomb tent, you come around this corner and then you can see this picture right here. That is pretty much the end of the walk. Our final stop was each brick that those girls had was numbered and they were chronological. This was his baby project. So he stood here, he told the coolest analogy about how you look at this brick, it doesn't look important. And do you ever look in the mirror and look at yourself and think, I'm not that important, I'm not that pretty, I'm not that smart, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy. And then when you put your one piece onto this board, it's going to be building something beautiful. And it's a big picture that you can't see yet. And that's kind of like how Heavenly Father views us, is in Christ sees us, that we are a very, very important piece to a much bigger picture. I'm gonna walk up to the front. We took the completed mural to the front of camp last night, and we all shared a little bit of our testimony about doing this walk. So I'm gonna walk you up. Oh, I think the girls are there. I'll have to wait till they head out.